you're ready to wake up, you're going to wake up. And if you're not ready, you're going to stay pretending that you're just a little, poor little me.
Do you feel it?
Yes, we do.
A worldwide awakening is upon us. Welcome to the Universal Consciousness Show.
The Universal Consciousness Show.
Where we explore topics such as UFOs, aliens, banned medical cures, as well as classified secret knowledge. Come question your holographic existence. Share experiences from the other side. This is a show that will expand your mind as we decrypt the symbolic messages locked away deep within your DNA. And now, your guides for this magical journey. The hosts of the Universal Consciousness Show, Avi Nost and Diana Seraphim.
Hello, everybody. You are listening to the show for the thinking American and global citizen. My name is Agi, and I'm one of the hosts, and Diana, my co-host, is over in Germany. Hello, Diana.
Hello, everyone.
Yeah, and before I introduce you to the two guests today, I want to tell you how you can connect with us also. You can visit us on our website at universal-consciousness-show.com, and also on YouTube, we're the same name. And please subscribe when you're there, because that's going to help us a lot. Because also when you're there, you click on the red button, click on that little dark bell next to it, because then you will get a notification anytime that there's a new show coming up. And while you are at that universal-consciousness-show.com, go into the picture gallery. You are going to lose yourself in there. There is over 5,000 really strange pictures in there that you could have a blast looking at. Anything from people walking on Mars and to... I can't think of all of the things you're going to see when you get there. And for those of you that like to hear this show again, of course, you can also go to kcorradio.com and go into the archives, and we are right there under the Universal Consciousness Show. And just when you're on that website, there is this feature down at the bottom. It's a wonderful little feature called the donate button. And it helps us to know that we're doing the right thing. Just see if you can help us out that way too. If you can't, that is wonderful. We love to have you here, to have you listening. Otherwise, it'll be just me and Diana, and that wouldn't be any fun. So anyway, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. I want to tell you about the two guests today. The two guests today are Diana and me. So, hi, Diana.
Hello. Hello, everyone.
Yeah, I wanted to see if we could talk a little bit about the mind today. What is the mind? What can we do with it? And it gets really deep when we get into what is behind the curtain, because most of the mind is behind the curtain. And I tried to look up the definition for mind, and it really didn't do me any good. The shortest definition that I could find was collection of memories. Now, that's almost a non-definition, because that's not what it is. And Diana, you found another definition. Maybe it's a little better.
Yes, I found one that I really liked it. So it is the element of a person that enables them to be aware of the world and their experiences, to think and to feel, the faculty of consciousness and thought.
Well,
that's
better. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it's better. And I still think it's a little short, because there is a huge difference between the brain and the mind. And most scientists, they've been taught that our consciousness is in the brain. And they do admit that they really don't understand everything that the brain can do. So I think there is an area here where people should really start exploring. Find some good books on it. Go to YouTube and find some books on the mind. Because once we start understanding what the mind is, we're going to be better suited and more capable to do things using that mind, not just the brain. And I want to give just a quick example of what I think the mind is capable of. Actually, I got two examples, and I want to do those first because science has proven to us that we are living in a mind-created universe. That there's evidence for that in scientific experiments. And one of them was, it was at the hospital. There was somebody that had been in a car accident. He was on the operating table. They were trying to put him back together, and he died on the operating table. And he found himself outside of his body, floating up about the ceiling, looking down at himself on the operating table. And he could see them start grabbing the paddles, and they were just going to give him electric shock to, wake him back up. And he thought that he wanted to go through the building up on the roof, and he found himself above the building, above the hospital, looking around up there. And he thought this was so strange. And he saw a tennis shoe laying next to a pipe coming out of the roof. Didn't think much about that probably, but he suddenly found himself back in his body again because they got him woke up. And afterwards he told his doctor, that one of the surgeons there were two of them, and he said that I found myself up on the roof. He says, looked around, and it looked really strange up there, and I saw this tennis shoe laying there next to a pipe, and he told him several things that he saw. And the doctor, he said, yeah, sure, I guess that's, a lot of things can happen in the brain, when you die. And the guy said, no, it wasn't in my brain because I was outside of my body. The doctor thought, He went up on the roof, looked around, and he found that tennis shoe laying next to the pipe. And there is no chance of that man ever having been on the roof and had seen that, except for what he had explained to him that he did when he was out of his body. Now, this is an explanation of what I think part of the mind is. We can travel outside of our bodies. We can do amazing things once we start understanding what the mind is. And this is one of the things that we're doing over at Nori and I have been putting this mind program together. We've been teaching classes over at we've been doing this for a while, and self-hypnosis, we're teaching hypnosis, we're teaching out-of-body travel, and the mastermind connection is a program that we're doing, and we're doing some phenomenal things teaching about the mind. Just go and check it out. A mastermind connection on Facebook. We have it themastermindconnection.org. And also you can send us an email to themastermindconnection@gmail.com, and we will send you some information so you can actually find out more about what you really can do with this mind. And I think everybody saw this movie, The Matrix, didn't you? No,
Yes.
yeah. What did you think after you walk out of the movie theater after seeing that? What did you think, Diana?
Well, I think the most people are thinking that we are living in a matrix. So like it's not a science fiction film, but it's a description of our reality somehow.
Yeah, I totally agree, because when I walked out of there after seeing the first one, I thought to myself that whoever wrote the script on this, they knew something.
Yeah.
Because that was really close. It was put into, it was Hollywooded up a little bit and, made exciting and so on. But the concept behind it was so real. Because right now, over the last few years, couple of 3 years, evidence has come out to the fact that we do live in the matrix, in a computer program. Because science has found, actually, there is a Dr. James Gates. He's a theoretical physicist. He spent most of his life investigating reality, what we call it, and also the universe. He has discovered a form of computer code deeply embedded in the equations of supersymmetry that describes fundamental particles like atoms, protons, smaller subatomic particles also, all the way down to the bosons, the neurons, and these particles that fade in and out of physical reality. It says in the equations of the fabric of space, we find these concepts representing ones and zeros. So you see, when we find computer code, ones and zeros deep in the fabric of space, that tells us that everything around us is based on a computer program. It doesn't have to be a computer like the one you're looking at right now when you're listening to this show, but there is the system of things being put together is based on the same principles. And these computer codes he says, is too symmetrical to be random. If there is computer code, there has to be a computer somewhere. And I'm also interested in who's running the computer. First of all, the computer doesn't have to be physical, and of course it isn't. The way that I understand it from what I have seen and found is that computer running everything is the self-aware universe that is being also controlled by what we would call God. In about a second here, Diana, I'm going to ask you to comment on this one because it gets so deep. I need your mind intertwined in this. Because
Okay.
when we look at that, there is computer code. There is a computer or a system of things put together using the principles of a computer to create what we call reality. How can that be unless that there is a mind, there is intelligence behind it? It is not all just in the brain. There's got to be deeper than that. Please, Diana, help me out here.
Yeah. Yes, it is obviously that the consciousness is not in the mind, in the brain, and there are also a lot of studies from the neuroscientists that they are really put this as scientific proof that the consciousness is not in the brain. It's Dr. Pim van Lommel from Netherlands. He's talking a lot about that and the experiences and the proof that it is coming from out of the brain. And he explaining like the whole universe is a mind. And also this was also the Hermetic principle from the Kybalion. The universe is mind. And this was 1,000 year before Jesus when they wrote this. And Pin van Lommel is also saying that the universe is mind, and this mind is transmitting everything, and our brains are like the receptors. They are only the receivers from the consciousness, from the universal mind. So it is obviously that we are like receivers, and it's a big universal mind that is how do I say, that is running us.
Yeah.
And there is a global program where we are connected the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
This is
we're connected to the all.
Yes.
And you remember what it says in the Bible, where this says, the term was mentioned, I am that I am?
Yes.
That is incorrect. From the original writing, there is an error in the translation. I found that when I wrote the book Spiritual Science, Higher Conscious Thinking, and How to Access the Universal Consciousness. The actual translation to English should be, I am all there is.
Mm-hmm.
So when Moses asked, who are you, or what's your name? The answer was, I am all there is. So that probably was an expression or a manifestation of the universal consciousness. Guess where we got the name for the show, the Universal Consciousness Show, huh?
Yep.
So once we start understanding that we are part of this universal mind, and when we accept that, once we understand something and accept it, it is a lot easier to work with it and create things from it. And that's where some people are better at manifesting good things in their life than others. Because we're in a mind-created universe, it is all depending on what is in our mind, and our mind transcends down into the brain, and the brain is doing kind of the legwork for the mind. So it creates its own thoughts on the basis of impressions, and if we have a lot of negative impressions, we get a lot of negative thoughts, hang around, bad people and doing stuff that we shouldn't. We get or receive this same things of the same vibration that what is in our mind. If people keep trying things and things don't work, first of all, they should try something different maybe, but also change our thinking and change our vibration of thought, and we will draw to us more of those vibrations.
Yep.
So I think there is something to this saying, change your stinking thinking. And
yes, but the problem is with this thinking and change your thoughts, change your life, and all this stuff that they are provided for from the neuroscience. My question is, if the mind, the thoughts are in the mind, and also neuroscience tells us that we have during a day about 60,000 thoughts, but we are aware only about 2,000 of them.
Yeah.
That means that the most part of the thoughts are running in the unconscious mind. So the question is, how do we control that? Because if I think I am rich and I will have money and everything is abundant, but I have a mental program who tells me that money is evil. Mm-hmm. How can I solve these contradictory problems? So maybe you can tell us after the break, or I don't know if you manage now in 3 minutes.
Yeah, the root problem, I see now we only got about 3 minutes left of the show, so we're going to revisit this one afterwards. But the root problem is not in our conscious thoughts, it is in the subconscious mind or subconscious brain. Because if we have a subconscious mind program that is running all the time and have a low vibration, they control what is happening around us, because they also transmit electric signals, pulse signals out that touches the universal mind that start drawing these negative things to us. So we have to change the subconscious programming, and there are ways to do that too. So we're going to talk more about that when we get back. But this goes into the manifesting of things, how we can create better things in our life, how we can change the environment around us, how we also can be better at intuition, psychic abilities, how we can anticipate what is coming on the basis of what we are looking for and what we like to have. So this is, and also it goes into abundance. Riches and wealth, that is somewhat restricted. I like the term abundance. That's the one that encompasses everything, and I think that's what we probably should be thinking about. And then it is just not our mind, but we also can join minds with other people and create a mastermind. And let's touch more on this when we come back, because now we're up against 30 seconds for the break. So let's go do that, and don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the Universal Consciousness Show.
The Universal Consciousness Show.
Your weekly connection to the truth.
You get to really sort of enjoy a bizarre ride.
Share your knowledge by calling our hotline number at 702-425-9230. That's 702-425-9230.
Call now.
Worldwide callers find us on Skype at KCOR Radio. It's time to abandon your fear and question what you think you know.
And now, if you will, accompany me on a journey to the future.
More awakening awaits.
After this, after this, after this, after this, after this, after this.
Are you ready? Ready to go inside the Matrix? Inside the Matrix.
You see, whoever controls technology controls the world.
Then tune in Sundays at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern, as your host, Jimmy Brent, takes you deep inside the holographic Matrix.
Carefully designed to stimulate the mind.
Come explore a world of topics from technology, archaeology, spirituality, and so much more.
Inside the Matrix
will liberate you from the manipulated, parasitic entities of consciousness.
You guys ready for this?
It's time to claim your true natures as creative, divine beings inside the Matrix. Hosted by Jimmy Brent.
Who are we talking about?
Jimmy Brent.
Live Sundays at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern, exclusively on the KCOR Digital Radio Network.
Inside the Matrix.
Investigating and analyzing the experience of life. 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 Life.
Monday nights are about to become hauntingly good, as Reverend Sean Whittington possesses the airwaves with Vegas Supernatural. Tune in every Monday at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern for Vegas Supernatural, exclusively on the KCOR Digital Radio Network. There's a war raging between good and evil. The question is, which side are you fighting on? Tune in Monday nights as Reverend Sean Whittington sets the new standard for paranormal radio with some of the most influential personalities in the world today. Vegas Supernatural, hosted by Reverend Sean Whittington, every Monday night at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, exclusively on the KCOR Digital Radio Network. The one show even the devil doesn't want you to hear.
Immerse yourself in an epic journey through time where ancient mysteries unfold within a story of love and betrayal, as well as a battle of good versus evil in The Emissary Book 1. The reader's favorite gold medal award winner for Visionary Fiction 2019, the action and adventure of The Emissary continues in The Emerald Tablet, Book 2. The 2019's Bronze Medal Award winner, The Emissary and The Emerald Tablet by Tamara Veach and Rennie DeFazio are both available now on Amazon.com. Let your reading adventure begin.
Are you ready to go?
It's showtime!
Here we go, world. You're listening to the KCOR Digital Radio Network.
Broadcasting from the heart of Las Vegas, Nevada.
Their base is so large it has to draw most of its power from the nearby nuclear fusion plant.
The future of radio is here and now.
Going live in 3, 2, 1.
It's time, once again, to unravel the mysteries of the universe by connecting the dots to a higher consciousness. This is the Universal Consciousness Show.
The Universal Consciousness Show.
Now the world will begin hearing us.
Share your knowledge by calling 702-425-9230. That's 702-425-9230. Worldwide callers use Skype name KCOR Radio.
It's as simple as that.
Find us on Twitter at KCOR Radio or use hashtag KCOR. Even better, join us on the live chat at KCORradio.com. Back to your enlightened hosts, Avi Nost and Diana Serafin.
Hello, we are back with the Universal Consciousness Show, and we're talking about the mind and the brain. And I said, and the brain, because they're not the same thing. Even though that there are scientists that just can't explain the mind yet, that doesn't mean that it isn't there. And we talked before the break, and Diana, I want to visit this concept. You said that we have about 60,000 thoughts in one day, and we're only aware of a couple of thousand of them. Yeah. And that means that the majority of our thinking, we're not even aware of it, but it affects us. And if all those 60,000 thoughts were good ones, we probably would have a lot better life.
Well, absolutely.
But they aren't.
Yeah.
A lot of them are negative from the environment that we see around us. So let's just visit this one. How can we change our perception of what is out there on the basis of what these 58,000 remaining thoughts are? How can we change those thoughts or those subconscious mind programs? What do you think?
Well, I tried to follow my thoughts when I was experiencing everything, and I was kind of meditating inside me in order to hear my thoughts. Mm-hmm. And it became very loud. I felt that I was in a big conference room where were tons of people talking in different languages all at the same time. This is how my mind sounded at that time, and I was very ill. And then I understood that every reaction that I have and every decision that I do, I am doing from a place of fear, and it is connected to a running mental program that is inside there. It's already there, and it was formed by the society, by at the time when I was a kid, and they are very difficult. It is very difficult to pull out a mental program that you already have from the time when you was a kid, like this one, that money is evil. You have to sweat to get money. Money doesn't grow in the trees, and this all kind. You can continue the list endless. So if you became aware about the subconscious running program that is subminating your decisions, and by repetition, you will find out what is there in your mind that is always putting you on that decision, on a certain decision, on a certain path, on a certain way to do the things, and you will find out. And in that time, when you discover, then you will almost always find out that the program is completely wrong, and it has to do with a memory, with a memory from the time when you were a child, and you heard that many times in the church, for instance, or whatever, or it was a bad experience in your life that told you, if you do that, bad things happen. But it is not the reality. But the question now, how can we control all the thoughts? That is something that is too big for me. So I cannot understand how.
Yeah, but what you also, in a roundabout way, said that when we have a bad experience, it creates the thought and the image and the visual and the emotion, and everything goes into the subconscious, and it sits there and festers, and it replays itself.
Yeah.
And it keeps rerunning and rerunning and rerunning, and we don't know it. Yes. So we are actually experiencing it all the time. And it affects the perception, or actually it creates a perception that comes up to conscious understanding that is of a negative nature, but we don't know why. Because we don't remember that particular thought. So what we could do, one way that I know can work fairly well, and that is hypnosis. Another one, through meditation, you can use, if you go into a meditative state, and you grab onto some of those thoughts that is really seriously negative in your subconscious that you don't think about all the time, but you can bring out the memory. And then do what they do with Ho'oponopono. That's the old Hawaiian healing method that means, translated to English, to make right. What they do is to get the feeling and the emotion of love. Put that emotion of love into the negative thought. What happens then is that the emotion of love gets inside of the negative thought and images, and it guts the negative thought of it, but it doesn't have the negative vibration that brings it up to the surface and affects you all the time. So you kind of neutralize the negative vibration of that thought.
So you mean that one of the methods to cancel the negative running thoughts behind our conscious mind would be to do Ho'oponopono daily, on a daily basis?
Yeah. I haven't done a lot of that, but I tell you, I'm going to start looking at it. And the other one that works really well when you get a good hypnotist and you can go into the subconscious mind. You can line up. You can order the subconscious mind to bring out the negative subconscious mind programs. Depends on how they would visualize them doing that. It could be that they could put them in little boxes and then little wooden boxes, stack them up and burn them. There is other methods that can be used through hypnosis to neutralize the effect of these negative subconscious mind programs. And I know a hypnotist that is good at that, and that's Nordy Love. And I think this is something that should be explored. If your existence or your life is not going out the way that you like it to, look within. And you can start doing that by meditating. Meditation, I consider it the gate to higher consciousness. And go to the Mastermind Connection and contact us through there, because we did a class on meditation, and it was a very good class. It'll get you to do a lot of neat exercises in there, and this can really help to gut some of the negative subconscious mind programming. And another thing that I would, there's a book, and that book explains how the mind works, what it is, and what you can do with it. And also how to do some of these things that we're talking about. And this book teaches you how to use your mind in ways that you normally would think would be impossible. And that book is Spiritual Science, Higher Conscious Thinking, and How to Access the Universal Consciousness. And I wrote this book 5 years ago, and I have phenomenal feedback from people reading it. If you go to Amazon, you'll find it's pretty close to all 5 stars. And go to another website where it actually is on sale, and that is at age-nost.com. That is AAGE-NOST.com. Because just living our life in misery or not totally happy, it is idiotic. Why do we do it when there is solutions? There are solutions out there, but we got to go find them. Look at the solutions that you found for yourself, Diana, when you were very ill. And you healed yourself without pharmaceuticals, just by thinking yourself well. This can be done. Do you want to talk a little bit about that, Diana?
Yes, the point was that I get to a point where I couldn't believe, where I did no longer believe what is happening to me. It was so, on every level I had a disease, and besides, the doctors told me that my daughter, that was at that time 3 years old, she will end up in a wheelchair because of an autoimmune disease. And I was sent to do different surgeries, and I was very ill. I couldn't walk anymore. Because I was in terrible pains, and I had to do injections and stuff. And besides, I was also bulimic and obese and depressive, and I was done. And I had a day when I say, this is not happening to me. So I was like pull out from this whole dark stuff, and I thought, no, this is not happening to me. And I think my mind was changed in this moment, and I started to research very much about the neurosciences, and quantum medicine and epigenetic was a very, very important enlightening tool, and Dr. Joe Dispenza with neuroscience. So this was the information to transformation that pulled me out of everything. And the point is that I didn't even notice how it's happening to me, how was happening the healing, because I was so happy about the information that I didn't have the time to check my pains or to think about everything what's happening to me. I was so fascinated about this new information that was so different from what I thought before, that I was in very short time, I cannot say, maybe a few weeks, I was completely healed, and I didn't know how. And then I was with my daughter to the routine research at the Uniclinic here in Düsseldorf, and they found out that her disease was gone, and they couldn't believe that. So they repeated the analysis, and they didn't find anything. So then only after that, when I looked behind, I understood that it was me doing that, because I didn't notice how the healing came. I just noticed that I was changed inside. I didn't notice in physical level that something was happening to me, but inside I was a completely other person. I was happy, and I didn't know why.
That's so great. That is
yes.
great.
Yes, I didn't have reasons to be happy, but I was so happy.
That's kind of screwy, being happy and not knowing why, that, but it happens.
Yes, and that was thought in my, there were coming thoughts in my mind, like when I woke up every morning, I'm not worrying about if I can walk or if I can breathe, because I am trusting something inside me. And then I thought, if I trust something that it's running my programs to walk, to breathe, or the stuff that my heart is pumping the blood, and she doesn't know exactly when and how, then I have to trust the same power inside me for healing everything, for putting everything on the place. So let's say to undo everything what was wrong. And I trusted this power, this source. I didn't know why. I was like it's very difficult to explain. It was a transformation, a suddenly transformation. Like the caterpillar when it's going in her cocoon, and it's taking her power from there, and the metamorphosis, and then it's becoming a butterfly.
Absolutely. And this is something that everybody can do. And you mentioned epigenetics. That is a new form of medical science that is coming on the scene right now. That is basically that your environment and your thinking controls your health. And we can change our health conditions by the way we think and our environment. So this is something that people should look into. If we have running around with negative thoughts all day, we're going to get sick eventually from something. But if we, like you said, you woke up happy and you didn't know why, and then all these things that you had wrong with you went away. And guess what, Diana? Not just you, but by you healing you also healed your daughter without doing anything with your daughter. Just by the way you thinking about you healed your daughter.
Yes, I think also the connection between mother and child can do or undo a healing process.
Yeah.
Because I
Absolutely.
also, by the way, epigenetics, I also read in Bruce Lipton's books that he is the provider of epigenetics in nowadays, and he is telling us that there were kids adopted by families that they had cancer, and the kids were were developing a cancer because they didn't know they were adopted. So they thought that the cancer will appear, because we all know by in a wrong way that the cancer is transmissible, and the other way around, they were kids from cancer family that they were adopted by non-cancer family, and they never did it.
Mm-hmm.
So that means that the thoughts, it's changing our chemistry.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, there is a video documentary out there, Diana, where you talk actually quite extensively on how you healed yourself, and people can find that video documentary with both you and me on it. It's on Amazon under Aliens and Agenda 21. If people go look that up, they can, you can even rent it for a couple of bucks, I think, so you can actually get to see that. And another thing too is that goes into epigenetics, that is that there is a way to reverse the aging process. And that is one thing that I talk about in that book about spiritual science, higher conscious thinking, and how to access the universal consciousness. There, in 2009, there were three doctors that got the Nobel Prize for discovering an enzyme that reverses the aging process, and nobody told us about it. And I talk about that in the book. I explain how to do it. I explain what I'm doing. And hey, I'm 74. I got more energy than anybody I know, and I think I'm probably healthier than anybody I know at my age. So I think I'm doing something right. And I explain what I'm doing in the book, and everybody can do the same thing, because this is absolutely possible. But we got to start some new thinking by doing that. And it starts, what I'm concerned, it starts with meditation.
Yes.
Learn how to do it.
Yes. And I also, about meditation, I also can talk tiny bit from my experience, because when I started to do the meditation, I was obsessed by the rules that I read everywhere. And I thought I'm not doing well because I don't see the colors, and I don't see that, and I don't feel that. And then I again trusted this power inside me that I don't know what it is. And I just let it go and went into the meditation, and then it was happening.
Mm-hmm.
When I dropped the rules.
Yep. And the thing is that we are meditating every day, whether we know it or not. When you sit down to watch TV,
yes.
By the way, if you're 5 minutes into a program on TV and get engrossed in it, you are being hypnotized and you are in a meditative state.
Yes, that's true.
So now the better one is to, when we control what goes into our mind, we can sit down and kind of close the active mind down, and we can even direct the meditation to where we want it to go, to find information, reach into that universal consciousness for information and resources. And that it is not that hard to do, but it gets very deep when you get in there. You can have some really profound experiences, like the one I had when I had the whole universe was downloaded into my mind in full concept and a detailed understanding. And this is something that everybody can have that. If they even know it exists and ask for it, it could happen. And I know there are people that have, Nikola Tesla even said one time, I saw the past, present, and the future at the same time. This is something that everybody can do. So start going within, and you'll open up the whole outside world to you. It's going to look in a totally different way than what you thought it was. Gosh, we got about 2.5 minutes left, Diana.
Yes,
Let me ask you the same thing that we always ask the guests.
Yes.
If you could talk to the whole world, Diana, and the world was listening, what would you tell them?
I would.
No pressure on that one, huh?
I would tell them that I think the most important thing is the self-love. And the lack of love, the lack of self-love is the thing that it's making the most damage to ourselves. And we don't have to do the confusion between self-love and egoistic. Self-love is when you understand that you are connected to everything else and to everyone else, and as soon as you harm yourself, you harm the other, and if you help the other, you help yourself. So this is the self-love, when you understand that if you love yourself, you love everything else, and if you love everything else, you love yourself. So don't harm anything, and don't harm yourself.
Yeah.
In every decision, take care of yourself, love yourself. And in this way, as long as you love yourself and you are okay, everything around you, it will be okay.
Thank you. That was deep, and I appreciate it. You're a wonderful lady, Diana, and we have 30 seconds left. I am so glad we did this show because we have really no plans. We were going to go where it went, and it did. So next week we'll be back, and we will talk to you soon. In the meantime, take care of each other.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
This has been the Universal Consciousness Show.
The Universal Consciousness Show.
Your weekly guide to a deeper understanding of the all that we are.
Well, in a few years, it will be a matter of common sense to very many people that they're one with the universe. It'll be so simple.
Live Mondays at 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern, exclusively on the KCOR Digital Radio Network. For more information on the show, hosts, or their guests, please visit universal-consciousness-show.com. That's universal-consciousness-show.com. Remember, there's a shift coming. A new earthly paradigm. A shift to universal consciousness.
Universal consciousness.
This is KCOR Las Vegas, home of the Digital Radio Network, broadcasting from a shack just south of Area 51.
Wait, that doesn't exist.
This is the KCOR Digital Radio Network. Now for the news.